Before we get into today's episode, I wanted to tell you guys about PicDrop. PicDrop is an image transfer tool I've been using personally for over 5 years now. It's how I send all my photos to my clients and where I have online galleries where I can store my work. It's really this kind of intuitive platform that was actually designed by photographers for photographers, so they understand what photographers need when they're delivering their photos to clients. The thing I like about it is my clients can write notes on the photos. They even have this cool scribble tool. So if you're working with a retoucher, they can make note. You can make notes on the photos and really just communicate easier, and just really easy, intuitive platform. It's not like some of the more outdated platforms like WeTransfer or Dropbox. With PicDrop, they actually understand what photographers need. So that's kind of what the best thing about it is. And with today's episode, if you enter the promo code BANTER, you'll get 2 months free at PicDrop.com. So definitely go give it a try and let me know what you guys think. Welcome back to the Photo Banter podcast. I'm your host, Alex Gagne, and on today's podcast, I welcome on photographer Pete Fisher. Pete Fisher is a photographer based in New York City. He has worked with clients such as Time Magazine, National Geographic, and The New Yorker, to name a few. Before becoming a working photographer, he got his career starting as a digital photo editor at The New Yorker. And in this interview, I speak to Pete about how he approaches his portraiture work on his assignments, as well as some of his personal work, where he photographed python hunters down in South Florida, as well as a really cool assignment he did for the New York Times, photographing the director of Dune, as well as the sound design team out in Death Valley, and much, much more. Pete's a really interesting guy. He has some really cool photo projects and his approach to portraiture, so I was excited to get him on the podcast. So I hope you guys enjoy, and thanks so much for listening. All right, I know I'll come on. Peter Fisher, aka Pet Fish on Instagram. Excited to
Thanks
have you.
for having me, man. Thanks for
Yeah,
having me,
man.
Alex.
Excited to talk to you, dude. I've been following along with your work for a little while, and looks like last week you were busy. You were down in DC covering some of the election stuff.
Yeah.
It,
It's been a busy season. Busy season. Yeah.
how was that? You were down there, what, New York Times last week shooting the election
I
night?
was down there for Vogue
Okay.
last week. Yeah. That was fun. Yeah. That was like my first time ever shooting any sort of election political coverage. I don't usually get hired for that, but I hit him up and was like, "Hey, I would love to give this a shot. And this is such an interesting moment. Uh, can you get me in there?" And they and they took a lot of back and forth, but they got me in there. And it was an interesting scene, Alex. It was an interesting scene.
And that's cool that you took the initiative to like reach out to them. Like, did you already kind of have like a working relationship with them over there, or you're just kind of pitching it
Yeah,
to?
Olivia Horner over there, she's an editor. We worked with each other for the first time this year. She called me to shoot Jack Schlossberg. He's JFK's grandson, and he's kind of getting into the political sphere. So I had a portrait shoot with him. And yeah, I mean that's what it's like. I'm hitting people up. That's what it takes. I'm fighting out here.
Hell yeah, dude. That's right. That's what I do, man. I'm fighting for everything I can get, dude.
Same. It's every week I feel like I am fighting for my existence in this industry.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, don't believe the Instagram stuff. We are out here fighting every
No,
week.
no, that's good to hear. And what made you want to kind of take the initiative to photograph the election stuff? Being like you said, you haven't really covered politics before. What kind of interested you about kind of doing that?
Yeah, I kind of put the feelers out there at the beginning of the year, said, "Hey, I'd be interested in trying this out. If anyone wants to hire me, no takers. I don't have the background for it, so I think most people gravitated towards other photographers who know what that environment is like because it is an insane environment, just so much press, so many emotions." But and then as it was kind of coming up on the end, I was like, "Oh shit, I'm not going to get another chance to try this until, 4 years from now, and who knows what the hell I'm going to be doing in 4 years."
Yeah.
So I reached out and luckily she was down to have me. Yeah.
And how do you kind of approach making the work down there? Because you were basically essentially photographing. Was it Howard University?
Yeah, it was Howard. It was supposed to be a huge celebration, or at least what we thought it would be, contested. So I think most people felt like it was going to go late into the night. It was going to be a big party, and she was going to come out and say, "All right, the numbers are still rolling in, but we're feeling good about this." We thought it was going to be very, inspiring and and hopefully good results, good news. And then it quickly, around like 10:30, when the numbers really started coming in and coming in quickly, man, the vibe shift of just from people dancing, and I mean it's college. It was like college game day, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and then to just morose, the life draining out of your face.
Because like
So
going into this, did you kind of have did they give you a direction of what they wanted you to shoot, or did you kind of show up, kind of do your thing?
not
And
really, yeah. They were kind of just like, we want to see it from your eyes. And with stuff like this, especially with the Secret Service being heightened, you're put in like this press area. Uh, and at first it was really far away from everyone, really far from the crowd. So I had to use a long lens to get these reactions. And then after a while, it loosened up a bit and it looked like she wasn't going to come out to talk. So I was able to hop behind one of those gates and kind of get in the crowd just for a little bit before they asked us to leave. So yeah, I mean, it was just, the story changed so quickly from taking hundreds of photos of people laughing and dancing to taking hundreds of photos of people pretty upset.
yeah, it was cool. I like seeing photographers like do something different because this is definitely different from other stuff you do. Like you said,
Yeah.
this you shot with a long lens, and a
Hmm.
lot of your work it seems like you like to use strobe, and you're like right up in someone's face, kind of in the
Yeah,
mix, like So this was like, did you kind of enjoy the challenge of doing something different than you kind of normally do?
absolutely. That's what it's all about for me. Is like I don't want to do the same thing all the time. It's the fun part about this job is getting put in situations and environments where you wouldn't normally find yourself. You wouldn't normally find me at a place like that. So yeah, and especially with a really long, like 400 lens, using available light, it's interesting. It's fun. It's a challenge. It gets you out of your normal equation. You kind of have to react quickly and challenge yourself a bit. It's a good time.
And what was the vibe? Because it's like obviously the photographers that cover politics, so it's like a lot of the same people are going to the same events.
Hmm.
So you don't really shoot this stuff. Like what was kind
Yeah.
of the vibe amongst other photographers? Was it like
I mean,
welcoming?
you get a lot of wire
Yep.
photographers in there who just, I mean, God bless them. They work so hard, and yeah, and then you show up and you're like, "Oh, I'm with Vogue," and they're like,
This guy.
"This guy." A couple of them I knew, so it was nothing but good vibes. I mean,
That's good.
at the beginning when you arrive at 11:30 a.m. for an event that technically starts around 8 p.m. and the line is just around the block with press, and then suddenly no one knows, how to form a line, and everyone's manners kind of go out the window.
Yeah.
But then once you get in there and everyone's kind of calming down, and you're chilling with everyone and talking, we're all just kind of helping each other out. I'm like, oh, what did you hear from the Secret Service people? Are we going to be able to get into that area? How is it looking from over there by the other stands?
That is
Everyone
that's kind
sharing
of yeah,
info.
that's kind of cool because like I'm similar to you. I do assignment work, portraiture
Hmm.
stuff, so it's like you're just by yourself most of the time. So
Yeah, yeah.
it is kind of cool. You get to kind of be in the group of other people. And I was following along on your Instagram. It was funny, like you're like hitting Waffle House. You're like a couple
Yeah.
of times. So
I have to. I
yeah,
have to. It's this body is by Waffle House. I grew up on that, so I can't. Once
yeah,
I have a taste of it, and I don't get it very often these days, I'm
yeah.
I'm there every day.
Where did you grow up, man? Like how do you kind of initially get into photography?
I grew up in Georgia. I went to high school in Tennessee, and then I lived in Florida for a little bit as well. I didn't really get into photo until after I graduated college. I went
Wow.
to college in CU Boulder, and I loved film and filmmaking. So I thought I was going to end up in that sphere. And while I was in Boulder, I started getting really into making animations, like handmade stop motion animations, really intense, lonely, sitting in a dark room by yourself, making minute changes for hours and hours. And I was doing that, and I graduated and didn't really know what to do with myself. I was working tons of odd jobs, anything to kind of survive, and living out of my car for a little bit. And then I had a girlfriend who had family in New York, and they recently renovated their garden level unit. They were like, "We'll give you an amazing deal on it. Do you guys want to come out here?" So it was like the next month we packed up a truck and drove out here.
Nice.
Um, started with that, and then just I had like one friend here at the time, Ann Fuse, and she introduced me to her friend, her good friend from high school named Thea Traff, who I
Oh yeah.
believe you've talked to.
Yeah, yeah, I've had the on.
And she was working at the New Yorker at the time. And I remember asking her if there were any jobs available. And she kind of put me out there, and I started working on kind of doing like creative for this animated piece they were making about artificial intelligence. This was like way back in late 2015. And I started doing research and creative work for that piece. And once that ended, once my contract ended on that, I was like, "Y'all got anything else going on around here?" I see an empty desk over there, and they're like, "That's for like a digital photo editor position." I was like, "Oh shit! Like I've got a camera. I like photography. Can I interview for that?" And I interviewed for it, and Joanna Milter, praise Joanna Milter, she hired me. She should not have hired me.
That's wild because at that point you weren't really like taking pictures. You're not.
No, 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 not really at all. But I got to be friends with the whole creative team there, the whole, the arts section part of that magazine is pretty small, and you're working alongside each other every day.
They're
And
in the base. They're in the basement, right? They
yeah,
don't.
yeah, exactly, exactly, yeah, yeah. There's all these empty offices in the World Trade Center, yet they get shoved down in the basement,
Yeah.
where they belong. But yeah, I started talking with them, and I think I think they saw that I was a quick learner. I was good with being thrown in the deep end, and I could swim. So they liked that about me. Also, I could talk about basketball with Joanna quite a bit, which she really enjoyed. So I think that helped. Um, but yeah, and I was there doing digital photo editing for almost 2 years. And
What-
that was during that presidential election, the 2016. So after that, I was like, oof, kind of burnt out on this right now.
Because
Gotta,
what is like digital for people listening? What does a digital photo editor do? What was kind of like your day to day kind of day look like?
yeah. So digital photo editing. I mainly stuck with the website. I helped out a little bit with some print stuff, but mainly it was all web based. And at that time, the New Yorker was really trying to make their presence on the internet, you know, like their presence in the print world. So they wanted a certain feel, they wanted it more curated, but they also wanted to dip into some more breaking news stuff. Um, and there was a lot happening to keep that going, to keep me up late at night and working on weekends as well. Uh, but so I'm basically just like pulling photos from wire agencies. When an article comes down, I'm reading a lot of pieces. I'm pulling photos that work with the subject matter, the tone. Um, I'm doing a lot of photo research, so I'm going into archives and pulling old photos from old shoots. That was probably the most fun I had. You have access to the entire New Yorker archive.
It's crazy.
So amazing stuff that has never been seen before that you just yeah, really cool stuff. And uh, Thea and I found some really cool photos of Bob Dylan that have never been seen before, but I'm not allowed to show those, but
Wait, why
I
can you
will.
why can you show those ones?
It's like rights issues and
Oh
stuff
yeah, yeah.
like that. I think some like Richard Avedon stuff. It's just really cool.
Oh yeah,
Really
because
cool.
Avedon he was like a staff at the New Yorker for.
Yeah, he was staff. He was you think he was their first staff photographer ever.
I heard, I don't know if it was a true story, but it was that his contract, it was like written that no one's photo could be run larger than his. So like if there was like
Dude,
another,
total
which,
sense. That
yeah,
makes
yeah,
total sense.
yeah, dude, he's just like, this is my magazine. Like,
What a day, like what a world that
yeah,
used to that where a photographer could like say that.
now you're like $500, sure, let's go.
Yeah, sure, sure.
Like,
Yeah.
sadly.
And
uh
then we can use it however we want for
oh
the end of time.
God, that is
Yeah.
scary. Um so in that position, did you get to like assign work and work with photographers on a hiring standpoint at all, or?
Yeah. I helped out a little bit with that as well, not nearly as much as I would have liked to, but I was really busy with the website at that time. But yeah, I got to really, Philip Montgomery, got to meet people like him, Victor Blue, Pari, just really great photographers that kind of influenced the way I look at things. And also made me that watching them do their work. And I was really young at the time, sitting at that desk, and I just felt I was like, I feel like I could try and do this, or I want to do this. I want to get out there and kind of live that adventure that I saw them living and meet people and put myself in situations that are uncomfortable. Um, yeah, so it was very inspiring to work there. I think I learned way more in 2 years than I ever did in any of my schooling.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you got to work alongside like great photo editors and then the photographers like you just named. Like, I'm
Yeah.
sure, were there any photographers like the ones you got to work with like on a signing you feel like you learned from it all, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's you kind of learn about, well, all right, back then I didn't have any background in photography, so I probably said some dumb shit all the time, like
But that's almost like that's like better that this came from you came from like a clean slate, and then you're like working with like the like Pari and Philip and like just
yeah,
the guys who are like killing it.
I mean,
Like,
I like even when I had to work with them like a little bit or like small correspondence, I was like always hitting up Thea or Genevieve or Siobhan and being like, "Hey, do I sound like an idiot in this email?" Like what? And they would help me out all the time. I mean, it was just such a team atmosphere, and you know, I didn't want to look like an idiot because I wanted to stick around for as long as I could.
yeah.
But
Um,
the photo editors I learned from so much.
and do you feel like, because I'm kind of jealous, you got to work on the inside before you came join
I
the
did,
outside with us.
yeah,
So like,
yeah.
do you feel like working there you learned like how to approach magazines or clients and how to like kind of pitch your work to them? Was that kind of a
So
benefit?
so
Yeah.
helpful because you really, even just on the digital side, I had no time. I
Hmm.
had no time, and I don't know how my email got out there, but people were sending me pitch emails all the time, and some of them were just
Yep.
way too long. So you learn pretty quick, like just a few sentences, a one-page PDF with a sample goes a long way,
Yeah.
long way. And then obviously I was always down to get coffee with people too. I would much rather have you come over, get coffee, sit down with you for like 15 minutes, get to know you, maybe look at some prints, than you know, a million emails. Because you
So,
just get lost. You
and
get
would you
lost in the emails
you would see that like in your time working there, the photographers that like made the effort to kind of meet you guys, like they would end up sometimes get a chance to work.
all the time, all the
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Yeah. Because for even yeah, this is good. So like for instance, like the thing you just did with Vogue, like when you
Yeah.
send them that pitch, like what does that email look like when you send them like, hey, I want to do this? Like what do you tell them and like and
Yeah.
sending them like
I mean, nowadays it's once you get on that relationship with an editor, and it doesn't really happen overnight, but I think like my career is sustained by like a handful of editors that I consider my friends now, and I hope feel like they want to help me grow in my vision, grow in my career, I feel like we're all growing together now.
Mhm.
So I really feel like if you want to survive in this, you got to really kind of be picky and choosy about who you want to reach out to. Look at the editors who are assigning work that you want to make, or who you feel like, the work they are assigning fits in with your vision or what you want to do. Because if you don't want to shoot food shit, why are you reaching out to a food person? Like if you don't want to shoot breaking news shit, like why are you reaching out to them?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I had that all the time. I was just like, why? Like, I don't assign shit like that. Like, why are you reaching out to me? Or this is the New Yorker. We're probably not going to run a piece about like, you know, this Mongolian tribe hunting with hawks,
Well, I think people that put it like on MailChimp or one of these like automated things, and
And
it's
you can
like,
tell, you
yeah,
can
yeah,
tell
yeah,
you got to personalize it somehow,
yeah,
Talk to me about something else,
yeah,
or say you enjoyed something that I worked on. Um, Yeah, yeah. You got to personalize it.
yeah. No one.
I can tell immediately.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's
I
how
can
it's
tell
structured. No,
immediately.
no one likes a long email, and no one wants a spam email.
Oh, no one wants a spam email. Make sure you get the name spelling right too, because every now and then someone would throw a C in my last name, and that was just like, I'm sorry, but like if you
Yeah,
can't just
yeah,
get the name right off the bat, there's a million other people out there. It's just super saturated. It's
yeah.
so saturated. You just got to stand out.
Attention to detail. And
Yeah.
so when did you start like you're working at the New Yorker? When did you
Mhm.
kind of pick up the camera and start like making your own pictures? Were you kind of doing that while you're working there, or like how did you kind of build your portfolio initially?
Yeah, during my like kind of lunch breaks, I was taking some photos, um, just kind of around town. And then after I left that job, I got a job working on a ship. So like a cruise ship.
Wow. Doing what?
So down in the Southern Ocean, like Lindblad ships, do you know them? They're a
Mm,
company that works down there. They have a partnership with National Geographic nowadays.
okay.
But I started working on one of those ships, and basically was doing a lot of photography while I was working on one of those ships. And so it was a lot of nature stuff, you know. Uh, but that's also a very saturated market. Uh, so once I got back from working on that ship, I was here in New York, and I was like, damn, I really want to try and give it a go here in the city. Um, Kind of shopped that around. My friends at the New Yorker ran some of those photos that I took down there back when they used to have Instagram takeovers. You remember
Hmm.
those?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, those were great. Great way to find new new voices, new photographers. So I did a couple of those, and I think that kind of got me on the radar of some editors, and then again it was like that catch 22 of, oh, but I haven't been assigned anything, so I don't have that experience, so I don't think we're really going to hire you for that. And I was kind of swimming in, open waters trying to figure something out, and um, one of my friends recommended ICP, and I took a look at that program. They have a year certificate program, and you could structure it in a way where you could continue working essentially full time or part time, um, while doing the ICP program, which felt a lot like trade school for like documentary photography.
And for
Just kind of like,
anybody listening, the ICP is the International Center of Photography
yes,
in
not
New
insane
York.
clown posse.
Yeah, they're cool too, but yeah.
They're super fucking cool. If you want to go down that route as well, that's also something to do.
I feel like yeah, that'd be a perfect project. I feel like ICP, you need to go to the Gathering of the Jungle.
I would love to. I'd probably put the camera down and just hang out.
So I get what made you want to do the program ICP? What were you hoping to like get out
I
of it,
was
I guess?
having a hard time with my own discipline. You know, it's really tough when you don't have someone every day telling you to go out there and shoot, or the parameters of an assignment. It's really hard to motivate to go out there and do that, especially after you're working a full day trying to make ends meet. in the
Hmm.
city, working all these other jobs. It is painful to get home after a long day of work and then pick up a camera and go outside. And I was finding that, and I just needed some sort of structure. So I met with them, and they were able to if anyone is interested in this, please reach out to them and at least do an interview or go check it out because they're they were super helpful for me and helped getting scholarships and stuff like that. They can really help you out. Um, but yeah, I worked it out on how to make a living and do ICP at the same time. It's a little less than a year, and basically you're having these classes where you're you're being taught by these amazing photographers, and they're telling you, come to class with your camera. Um, I want you to go up on the street, meet someone, get invited to their apartment, take their portrait, come back, and we'll show it to the whole class. And that's like, that's great. That's, and you don't want to be the guy who comes back without anything.
Hmm.
You just don't want to be that guy.
Was that
So,
intimidating for you, or like were you always
oh,
just kind of?
so intimidating. I was
Yeah,
very shy. I was
yeah.
extremely shy. I still am,
See
but
that? Looking at your work, I wouldn't think that because like you
it's
like
all a
you,
farce, man.
yeah, like the thing with like yeah, that's good. Everyone starts somewhere.
Everyone starts somewhere. I mean, I love it. Gives me a reason to put myself out there. Um, and yeah, I mean, I was scared as hell doing those kind of assignments, projects, but yeah, it was necessary. But once you do them so many times, that fear just goes away. I just
Hmm.
don't even think about that anymore.
And I find you have to keep doing it all the time
Got it.
because if you're not doing, then it's like you're kind of like because I went and did a project recently out in Oakland. I photographed the last athletics game,
Right.
and I hadn't like
That's so cool. I saw that those photos were great, by the way.
things. So I was just approaching random people in the parking lot, and I really hadn't done like something like that for myself in a while. And the first
Yeah.
couple, I was like, oh, but then you get one, and it's just like it's the momentum. It's like, all right, let's go. I'm gonna get another. It becomes like a
Yeah. The first one is always the toughest, right?
yeah,
I mean, it's getting out there and then approaching that first person. And
yeah,
then once you get the first yes,
yeah.
and you're like, all right, it's good.
It's like
Let's
it's like
go.
a
Let's
challenge.
go. Yeah.
So what else did you learn from that program? Like, what was kind of beneficial for you?
I think just some like technical things as well, workflow stuff. I'd never used Lightroom before. I wasn't that well versed in Photoshop. Lighting, I didn't know how to use a flash at all. I mean, this is all just stuff I do every day now in my sleep, but back
Hmm.
then I had no idea. And it helps so much being in studios where you can mess around and also you're among classmates that are trying to figure it out too. So
Hmm.
you're helping each other out. And that's something that is hard to find, I think, in the professional photo world. Once after you sort of are past the learning stage and you're working, everyone kind of gets a little closed off. There's uh I have my crew of photographers and friends, who we all help each other out, but it's competitive. It's
Oh
very
yeah.
competitive.
Yep.
Um, so really take advantage of that.
And
Yeah.
did you already have like a goal in mind to like the type of work you wanted to pursue? Uh,
I just I wanted to work for magazines, publications. I just wanted to do something interesting that was going to travel, take me places I've never been before, meet people I've never talked to. I just wanted to get out there in the world. I just wanted to go on an adventure. Have fun was
yeah.
a big
Exp
goal of mine.
yeah, have experiences.
That's
Were
right.
were there any like photographers early on that you kind of like looked up to or kind of inspired you when you're kind of starting out, like kind of looking at their work?
Yeah, I mean, Phil Montgomery was a big one. I mean, Michael Northrup is like still one of my favorite photographers, and his is just like pictures of his family and friends. But I swear, like before every assignment, I'd sit down and go through that book, Dream Away, and I'm just like, okay, I love this feeling. I also love the feeling that you don't have to be out photographing, on assignment for someone or taking photos of celebrities or something to just make brilliant photos. You can just be hanging with your friends or family. Who else? There's so many. I mean, Daniel Arnold, I think when I first moved to New York City, I was just like blown away by his work. Um,
Just that dude's output. That's like that
yeah,
dude's just
yeah.
always doing, which I really like admire about that guy is he's just always just
hmm
making work, which is just
Always
inspiring.
making work and feels like, he very much goes to the beat of his own drum, which I appreciate so much. And is inspiring to me to just be like, find your own fucking path and just
Hmm.
go on. Just do that. You don't have to do it any other way. Uh, so yeah, that I was like, I think like for like a month, I was like, ooh, let me try street photography.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's like I
yeah.
was like, whoa, this is
You and
not for
9,000
me.
other people in New York.
Exactly.
That's the every time I come to New York, half time I don't even bring a camera because I'm just like I find it like it might
Same.
some people are like inspired to photograph there. Me, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go chill, eat some pizza, and like and I'll shoot some projects when I get back home.
That's right. That's right. I feel that way too. I feel that way too.
So when you got out of ICP, like how are you kind of getting your first assignments? Like how are you kind of getting your work out there? Do you remember kind of some of your first assignments you got?
My first assignment I pitched to Time Magazine because my friend, once again, it's all about friends and who you know,
That's right.
goes a long way. Thea Traff was working there as the photo editor, and I pitched her this idea about these hunters down in the Florida Everglades. Some of them I knew that were hunting pythons for the state because they're an invasive species and their population had just exploded and they were wreaking havoc on the ecosystem down there. So I pitched that. I think she probably really went to bat for me on that one and
All
and
this
took
stuff.
me down. Yeah, set that up for me, and I went down and spent like 4 nights, 5 days making these photos, going out there from dusk till dawn, wading through these swamps with these amazing hunters.
How do you even like discover these guys and like end up pitching it? Like, is it something that you kind of back your mind for a while or?
Well, I used to like live and work in Florida, so it was something I kind of knew about and I had seen on TV a bit as well. And I was like, oh, I could go. I know where this is. This is only like 2 hour drive from my mom's place. Like I could get down there. Um, and it just seemed like fun, you
Yeah,
know? Like I love being in the outdoors. I love anything surrounding animals or nature. So
yeah.
I'm just
You built different than me, Pete, man. Alex don't fuck with snakes.
yeah, I understand. I understand. But yeah, these were some big ones. You wouldn't have liked these.
Yeah, that's
That
what.
big one, that big one at one point, I think it was a photo up, but it was got wrapped around one of the hunter's legs at one point, and uh, it was looking like it was going to snap her ankle because it's so strong. And that was one of the few moments where I was like, "Ooh, I should probably put this camera down and help out a little bit."
So what is it these dudes are doing? They're trying to capture the snakes to.
Yeah, so basically, there's a bounty on these snakes, and they go out at night, they hunt them, they kill them, and then they get paid by how big the snakes are. If the snake is pregnant, if you get a bonus if the snake is a pregnant female. So yeah, I mean it's just um, it's a big job down there right now. It might have slowed down a little bit. I think they started issuing too many permits, and then it kind of became a weird scene.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone trying to be kind of get their own show on like True TV or Animal Planet or something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I guess for you, like, I think I was curious talking to you about, like, um, would you consider yourself like a photojournalist or like, or because obviously you like storytelling and real people, it seems like
hmm
somewhat, but like, how do you kind of view your work and what you do?
Buddy, I have no idea. I don't know. Somewhere in between,
Yeah.
maybe. I don't know. I wouldn't consider myself a photojournalist. I feel like I'm not. I don't know, that committed to journalism that much.
You just want to make it look cool. Like,
Yeah, or again, I feel like I'm just kind of out there trying to have an interesting experience, and if I
mhm.
can convey that to the people looking at the photos, or hopefully inspire other people to get out of their comfort zone and go be curious about something, uh, I feel like that's a job well done. I don't know how much of a good storyteller I am, but
You're
uh,
good. You're good, man.
and I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that.
And then one thing I was curious about, like in terms of like the style of your work and how you approach it, do you feel it
Uh,
kind of took you a while to kind of find your voice? Is like how you approach the style and aesthetic of your work? Is it kind
Big
of
time. Oh
evolved?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like kind of the way you learn anything, you start by looking at what other people are doing and try and do what they do. And, once you feel like you kind of got their style down, you try someone else's style out, and you're all meanwhile trying to find your own voice the entire time.
Hmm.
So then you kind of end up with this uh, weird amalgamation of all these other different voices, take a little from here, take a little from there, a little bit of that, a little bit of that, but then it all kind of molds together, and then you kind of give birth to this 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 kind of one thing that feels like you. I still don't know if I've found that. um,
I like when I look at your work, I really like about it is it seems like you're always looking for like I'll pull it up. There's one photo like it's like you photograph these like swimmers. It's like the Kremlin Swim
oh
Club.
yeah, that was
And
fun.
I really like it because it seems like you're always looking for like a unique perspective. Like
Uh-huh.
there's one
Uh-huh.
picture with like the curtain here. I think it's at the bottom. Uh, let me zoom
Oh
in.
yeah.
But it seems I really like it. Like even like this stuff, it was like this like a unique perspective. It's not just like your standard like shooting this swimmer,
Uh-huh.
or even the stuff you did with the fawns. Like it was just like this
The
photo shoot.
funds.
Yeah, let me just pull it up. It's I don't know if you. It looks like you photographed him at his house, Henry
Oh, he's great, Henry.
Winkler,
He's
and it.
such a nice guy. I gotta give him a call soon. He's a really sweet guy.
But
Likes to keep
but
in touch.
yeah, but I think the thing that I appreciate about your work, it's like even this moment, it's like generally speaking, like a lot of people just do the standard portrait, like put them in a
Mhm.
location, but like you're looking for a unique perspective or like having this funny interaction with them.
Right, right.
Is what is it you're looking for when you are photographing someone on assignment? Is there something you're trying to?
I think just trying to kind of get them out of this working head that most of them have,
Hmm.
where like they're so on all the time. It's fun to either play with them being on, kind of like tongue in cheek, breaking the fourth wall, or catch them in these moments where they're, just truly themselves and like Henry in his own space having fun. That's and this is like he hates having his photo taken. Absolutely hates it. It was one of the first things he told me. I thought he hated my guts at first. I was like, oh shit, this is gonna be a long shoot. But no, he just turns out he just was very insecure about having his photo taken. A guy who's been on TV, long before I was born, is insecure about having his photo taken. So, all right, what are we gonna do? We're gonna put on some music, figure out what he's been listening to, dance around to some music, tell some jokes. Most of the time I don't even have the camera up to my eye. We're just hanging out, having fun, talking. Um, and then every now and then picking up the camera, taking a shot here, taking a shot there. Just you know, trying not to be too intrusive, but also at times being very intrusive.
Yeah.
Uh, so it's always a balance, but a big part of these sort of portrait shoots that I think are successful is just a willing participant. Like, God, man, I can't tell you how many portrait shoots that you don't see on there that is just someone who doesn't want to be there, hates having their photo taken. You only have 15 to 20 minutes with them, and it's just doesn't end up very good.
So
And
so that's good to hear though. So even sometimes you have shoots where you kind of walk away a little deflated, like at all, or it's just
oh,
like,
all the time, man,
yeah,
all the
yeah,
time.
yeah.
You just don't see those.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
and I think everyone has those. I think
Hmm.
everyone, even people you think are absolutely killing it.
Yep.
You just don't see them. Um, it's inevitable to have those. It's just
Yeah.
absolutely inevitable. And not everyone's going to be having a good day. Or maybe, maybe they're not on today and they don't, maybe they have some weird thing about having their photo taken or they're insecure about part of their body. And so much of that you have to overcome through time and just talking to them, but maybe you only have 25 minutes. Most average portrait shoot I have is like 20 minutes.
Wow.
Um, So you're trying to pack all that in really quickly, and then you black out, and then you wonder, oh
Did I
shit,
get anything?
did I expose any of that correctly? Uh, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good to hear. Even LeBron has a bad game every once in a
Even
while.
LeBron has a bad game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, some of my most favorite portrait shoots. It's not that the photos are like technically insane or the lighting is outrageous or anything like that. It's just like the person was able to bring something out of the person they were photographing, the subject they were photographing.
Yeah.
And part of that is it's a two-way street. It takes two to tango, you know. Jack Schlossberg, he said yes to everything, every idea. We just had a good vibe. He just wanted to have fun. We were just playing around. It was like two dudes just having fun in an office because we don't work in offices anymore.
Yeah.
So we kind of had the run of the place. And
Yeah, like even this shoot, that's the thing that's fun about your work. Like, I think some people can rely on like technical stuff, which
uh-huh.
not saying that you're not, you obviously know how to light and stuff, but it's like that's what's fun and really stood out to me about your work. It's like, oh man, this dude's just like having a fun time out here, and this like,
That's what it's all about, dude. That's what it's all about. It's
yeah,
like, what's the point of any of this if you're
hmm
not having fun? Like,
yeah.
I just, life is short. You have a brief moment with this person, and maybe like Adrian Brody or Winkler or someone like that, like they're someone I've watched on TV or movies forever. It's just cool to meet the people who have inspired you and have a connection with them.
And
It's
I don't
fun.
know about you, but I like the challenge of like, like you're saying, sometimes you walk in and someone right out the gate, they're like, I hate to have my picture taken, whatever,
Oh yeah.
or they're in a
Oh
shit
buddy.
mood, or they're like, you're just another photographer for the 900th photo
Yes.
shoot. But I kind of
Yeah.
enjoy the challenge of like, I'm gonna flip this person, like I'm gonna get them on my side, and like,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. That is another fun thing. It's like, all right, how charming can I be?
yeah. Um, one really cool shoot I was gonna ask you about. You photographed the director of Dune and then the
Yeah,
sound design crew.
dude.
What was this for? And it just looked like an incredible
It was
shoot.
amazing. It was amazing. This is one of those shoots that comes around like once in a lifetime. Jolie, she works at New York Times in the cultures section now, arts and culture. She called me up. This was right before the first Dune movie came out, and she was just like, hey, what do you think about going out to, LA to shoot these Foley artists in Death Valley? Just like, say less, dude. Get me
Yeah.
out there. Uh, and again, I have a background in filmmaking. I always loved sound design and music. So this just, again, also being in nature, this just fires on every single cylinder. Willing participants. These dudes were so down to have fun and show me how they made everything.
Yeah,
This guy,
sound design dudes aren't getting too many articles written about them.
no, they weren't, and they were so stoked, and that felt so cool to
Yeah.
give these guys that. They went on to win the Oscar, and they both wrote me the nicest letters after. Just such incredibly nice people, and down to throw their bodies down the side of a dune to show me how they make the sound of someone falling on sand.
So with this shoot, were they like on production shooting the movie, or is it
No, they weren't. So
okay?
a fun little background, like all the shoots like this, they all start out pretty big in scope,
Mhm.
right? So, okay, we're gonna have these sound guys. We're gonna go to Death Valley. We're gonna shoot this thing. And then once like PR and agents and people like that start getting involved, the scope just immediately starts to
Okay.
shrink.
Yeah.
And so then suddenly, we're getting phone calls saying, oh, can't you guys just do this at the beach in LA? Like, blah, blah, blah. And that's when, you have a good editor like Jolie. She goes to bat for you. And she's like, okay, no, we really want to do it here. It's going to make a huge difference. I mean, yeah, see, you don't get photos like that.
No.
They're on an alien planet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have someone go to bat for you, and they make it happen. They press. You got to keep pressing,
Yep.
uh, and then eventually, hopefully, they kind of give in because these two sound designers, they had no problem getting in the car and going out there. They were more than happy to do that. But you know, the powers that be, they try and make things a little more scalable, manageable, take up less time, but
Yeah.
um,
Guy push. And
you got to
and that
push. You got to push just to see, because if you don't push, they're
yep,
just gonna take it away from you.
definitely. And so like a shoot like this, like how much time did you get to work with these guys to make these photos?
With those guys, maybe like an hour, hour and a half before they had to turn around and go back home.
Mm-hmm.
With Denis, we actually shot on the beach in Malibu
Yeah.
because
He's busy. He don't got time to go
he's very busy.
to.
He's very busy.
Yeah.
He was very cool too. He uh, his people reached out after and they were like, "We loved the photos. Can you send us? We'd love to buy some prints." And
Nice.
that's such a good feeling, um, because I've always loved his movies and thinking about one of those photos in their offices in Canada is just a cool feeling.
Yeah, that's awesome. And being that you went to film school, like, do you feel like is there anything you learned in film school that's kind of helped what you're doing now? Do you think you'd ever want to get into filmmaking or?
I would love to, I feel like I'm getting asked more and more to do more like little, vignettes or kind of moving portraits, cinemagraphs. And I just did one the other day, and it was like the first time I picked up a movie camera in forever, and it felt really good. So that's maybe that is like a next chapter sort of thing because I've been in I've been in the stills photography industry for almost 10 years now. Um, four of which as a photographer myself. And yeah, I'm just kind of thinking about what's next, like where to go from here. What's
Damn.
the next evolution here?
Man,
So
you done a lot of cool shit in 4 years of shooting, man. That's
I'm
like
just
keep it going,
uh,
dude.
I'm trying to pack it in,
Yeah.
I'm trying to pack it in.
Yeah, it
You know,
must be
you know,
cool.
you just kind of never know when the ride's gonna be over. Like I feel like that it is feast or famine.
Hmm.
So I really am I'm try to think of myself as like a say yes to everything guy. Um, because you just never know when the phone's gonna stop ringing. So have fun. Get out there.
Yeah, and also some boring assignments or jobs can lead to like other jobs down the line that you never could have thought of.
All the time.
Yep.
That's always how it goes,
Yeah.
Alex. That's every single time. It's like that Dune job. It probably didn't get me any work at all. Like
Yeah.
a bunch of people saw that, worked in the film industry or whatever, and I would love to work in that industry as well. But yeah, no work probably came from that. But just some like weird little portrait shoot that I had sometimes will get you like a bunch of calls from editors you've never heard from before.
Yeah,
So you
definitely.
just never know.
It's
You never know.
gotta be open. Another shoot I had to ask you about. Obviously, it looks like your big dead head. Was this an assignment
Yeah,
or
yeah.
yeah, or
Oh my God, man.
tie
Like
dye?
90% of my shirts these days.
That's awesome. Was this a personal project? You shooting the sphere with the Grateful Dead, or was this a
Yeah,
yeah?
yeah. This was just I brought my little point and shoot camera. It's just a little 35 millimeter film camera, and I couldn't get anyone to hire me to photograph it. No one was biting, so I was like, shit, I'm just gonna go there myself.
Hell yeah.
And I mean, I was gonna go to those shows anyway, so
Did the sphere live up to the hype?
so cool. I mean, I've been there. I've now been there twice this year. Once for Fish,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
and then once for Dead and Co. And man, that venue rules.
Now it's
The
now it's
visuals are
the
great.
Eagles though, dude. Now, it's like,
Yeah.
oh man, dude.
I just don't know what they could bring to it that would utilize that space, you know? Like I just saw David Gilmour last night
Yeah,
at MSG. Like why the hell isn't David Gilmour in there? You know?
yeah.
Why aren't they paying how much money would it cost to get David Gilmour and
Who,
what's his
who
name?
whose live performance was better, Fish or the Dead? Because I mean, Fish. I've been to Fish a lot.
Yeah,
This with my brother and stuff. I've been to MSG and like they're. I mean, like the guy who does their light is like basically the other member of the
right,
band. Essentially, I forget the
right,
guy's
right.
name or whatever, but
Yeah, yeah, he is like the fifth man. But I would say performance wise, Fish maybe, but visually, definitely the Dead. Definitely the
interesting.
Dead. Yeah.
Yeah,
But then again, like for me, it's just two different types of music. Even though for maybe a lot of people, they're like this music's very similar. I feel like they're two completely different types of music and different audiences too. Um, but that's it. I mean, it's just it's so much fun to see a band there. Pick a band, whoever's coming up next. I would love to see like an EDM show there or something. And I'm not even like a big EDM guy, so I feel like it's just such a cool place to be inside of.
yeah,
Uh,
definitely,
yeah.
definitely. I want to hit up sometime. Not going to the Eagles, though, I'll tell you that much.
Oh yeah, you don't have to do that. So just wait. Someone will come down the line who's really cool.
Um, is that something like obviously you're busy with assignment work stuff, but even like taking the time to shoot that personal work, it's still
Hmm.
some you make a point of like still doing that stuff now.
I try to. It's
Yeah,
tough. It's
yeah.
really tough. I used to have like normally August would be pretty slow for me, or beginning of September, and I would take a road trip across the US and kind of stay gone for 3 weeks, see some friends, make some photos, just, friends and family and stuff. But I was too busy this year to do that, which is a good thing.
Hmm.
Uh, but I miss that. I'm like yearning for just making photos, for myself.
Right.
So hopefully that's something that I'm going to be able to do this winter or maybe earlier this year. Because yeah, right now it's been so busy.
Yep.
Uh,
That's
I've
good.
just been, yeah, it's been good, but I'm just like, damn, so many good. I go to a lot of concerts, so I'm like, so many good shows I've missed.
Oh, are you going to are you going to fish at this December?
We'll see. It's always a last second decision.
Yeah.
Uh, I will say starting the new year post Fish MSG is not a great feeling, you know.
Oh
You're
yeah.
like
Okay.
you're like the come
All right. Don't
down
go to the New
off
Year's.
of
Go to the one 2 nights before, and then
right,
yeah.
right.
Uh,
That's right.
what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I think I was gonna ask about you made a cool zine with Pomegranate Press a few years
Yeah.
back. What was this zine all about, and like how's it working with Pomegranate Press? I met those guys like a month or so ago in New
Yeah,
York.
Jesse's great. Jesse's
Yeah.
amazing. God, that feels like so long ago now. I think like we were just kind of coming out of, the first lockdown, and Jesse hit me up and he was like, I like your work. Would you be interested in making one of these zines with us? And showed me some examples, and the quality was great and it was affordable to anyone who wanted to buy it. And I know I'm like, the thing now is to kind of like immediately start trying to make a book or something. And I was like, oh man, I don't have nearly enough
Yeah.
work to make a book. Like,
Yeah.
so let's just make like a fun little thing that people can buy and have on their coffee table or something like that. And that just kind of celebrates being outside. And most of these photos I took, the idea was photos that I've taken while I've been traveling to or from assignment. So just kind of these in between moments is when I photograph for myself. So this is kind of what that was. And yeah, Jesse's great. I really love how it turned out.
This is a
I th
great one. I
It's
loved
so
it.
nice. Yeah, that was fun. That was at a zoo. I think I had an assignment at a zoo once. Uh,
So are you like basically the type of guy, are you always have a camera on you? Like if you're even if you're not on assignment, like you leave your house, or you bring the camera with you most
I
days?
do. I just have like a little 35 millimeter point and shoot usually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
I always have that on me.
Yeah, I really like the color in that one. And then
Mm.
this is a great project you did, which actually tricked me at first. I thought this was actual landscapes.
I'm glad it worked on you. I'm surprised it worked on you.
Yeah, it's called, I'm gonna, how do you pronounce this? Simulacra?
Simulacra.
Yeah, how'd this come about? And if
Yeah,
you could
let's
explain it,
let's get heady. Let's get heady,
explain,
bro.
yeah.
Let's do this. Yeah, I mean, I was kind of struggling to find. So, all right, go back at ICP. You take the documentary visual journalism program. They probably have it named something different now. That's what they always do. But back then, you have this one project that you work on for half the year, and it's supposed to be like a documentary project. And you work on it, you workshop it with your classmates, and then you have a show at the end of the year and you show it off, stuff like that. So I was kind of struggling finding a project. I feel like all the New York City projects have been done
Mhm.
to hell and back.
You didn't want to go to Coney Island?
Oh man, Coney, the dudes who, care for pigeons or, it's just like all, it just didn't feel me.
Yep.
So I just kind of started. I went to the museum one day and really liked this one photographer. Took some great photos of the dioramas there, and I tried some of that just to see what it looked like. I liked the way it looked, and then I also started taking some road trips out of town and started taking some photos that felt like they looked like the dioramas. And so I just started kind of pairing those together and making diptychs. And yeah, that's kind of how this came about. And it was fun. It was fun every week because I would come in with new photos every week and I would put them on the wall and everyone would start trying to guess what was like real life and what wasn't.
Yeah,
And
it's
obviously,
incredible for people listening. It's basically, yeah, like you, they look like you went to like Arches National Park in Utah or something, or there's like
yeah,
these wild animals, and but it's no, you're actually at like museums with
yeah.
these like
And
diorama.
sometimes I am in Arches National Park,
Okay,
it's so some of those are in the actual
okay, so
city
it's a mix, yeah.
and some of those are real animals and some of them are stuff. So that's the whole thing is it's a mix and it's supposed to,
See,
have you questioning stuff. I
see,
guess now it would
I
be
like
like
you, Pete. You're, yeah,
AI images would replace that, but
this is great because it's such a so much photography. It's like especially once you like try to make your career or whatever, it gets like serious.
yeah.
It's like I love this. There's like a sense of humor to it. It kind of
Oh,
reminds me a little bit. Did you ever see Chris Buck's project where he photographs celebrities, but they're in the picture, but you don't see them. They're like behind. They're like hiding behind like a
that's
drape.
awesome. I love Chris Buck.
Yeah,
Yeah, he has that eye. He's hilarious.
yeah,
He's so funny.
yeah. It's just like having fun, kind of fucking around a little bit,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
still making like beautiful images. Is
Right, right.
yeah.
But
No,
yeah,
this
this was fun to work on and it kept people engaged, kept me engaged. Um, so yeah. A lot of
no,
those ended up in the zine, I think.
no, it's incredible, man. I guess what's next for you, dude? I mean, what's got you excited? The year's kind of winding down, but anything you're hoping to
Yeah.
work on moving forward?
I mean, I have such like a backlog of work right now. I would love to go through and, photos that I've been taking while on the road on assignment that weren't for the assignment. Would love to get that stuff developed and scanned and start going through there. Um, because I do love those photos, just friends, family, things I see on the road. I don't know, man. I'm looking forward for a little bit of a break because I feel like that is a good time to step back, reevaluate. Like I said, I would love to start doing more, you know, film stuff, moving images. I don't know, buddy. I'm just kind of, again, saying yes to everything and trying to go on little adventures and just talking to my buddy Charlie. And we're like, we worked on a piece together about this erupting volcano earlier this year that we really liked. And we're like, is there another one we could go to? So yeah, things are in the works. Things are moving and
So the
grooving.
volcano thing was still photos or moving?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So that
That's
was,
cool. So you guys like partnered together. You don't hear that a lot of photographers because so much
yeah,
it's like solo, but that's kind of
yeah. Oh, he's just my buddy too. So
yeah.
he is down for pretty much anything. So when I hit him with the idea of, are you down to go climb this erupting volcano in Guatemala? He was just like, sign me up.
Let's do it, dude. Well,
That's
Pete,
important to have those people in your life.
yeah, man. Pete, man, it's been a real pleasure. I could talk to you
Thank you, Alex.
forever. Yeah, I'll make sure when I release this, people go check out your website and Pet Fish on Instagram. If you're not following them, you can follow along Pete's photos and his Waffle House intake.
There we go. Thank you. Scary,
Perfect.
terrifying.
Awesome. So there you have it. That was the Pete Fisher interview. Just want to thank Pete so much for taking the time to come on the podcast. It's a real pleasure to talk to him about his journey with photography and everything he's been working on. Really enjoy his photography and approach. So definitely go check out Pete's website at petefisherphoto.com. And you can follow him on Instagram at pet_fish. But I'll put all the links in the description. You can go check him out there. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, with this episode, if you use the promo code BANTER, you'll get 2 months free of the PicDrop image transfer tool. So definitely go give it a try and let me know what you guys think. And as always, thanks so much. Happy New Year. Got more episodes coming. So stay tuned and take care.